I'm one of those idiots that bought tickets to go see the Logan Paul vs. Floyd Mayweather fight, and I'm pretty ashamed of it. I said pretty recently that the worst purchase I've ever made in my life was a $200 pocket trumpet. Yeah, that's been absolutely eclipsed by this purchase. I bought seats for me and my friends to go and just kind of goof around and have fun, and I thought it'd at least be an entertaining spectacle, and admittedly, like, everything leading up to the fight was kind of fun. But the fight itself was the most miserably boring experience I think I've ever sat through. I would have rather have gone to a spelling bee. I had more fun falling asleep on the Uber to the arena than I did at the actual fight. We drove 4 hours from Tampa to Miami to see it, and I would have rather driven 4 hours to a fucking library. The fight was so bad. I know Floyd Mayweather is considered the greatest fighter of all time, but he's easily the most boring fighter to ever live in the history of our species, dating all the way back to like the BC era before Christ, when they were like slapping each other and they didn't know how to make like a fist because they were too dumb. That was probably more fun to watch than Mayweather in the ring. I've seen a total of 4 of his fights now, and all 4 of them are some of the most awful sporting memories I have. I have more fond memories of getting bullied at the football tryouts in high school. Those are happier moments in sports for me than watching Mayweather's fights. It's so boring. And this fight, if you can even call it a fight, was mainly just Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather hugging a lot and then accidentally slipping a wet noodle strike somewhere to the body, and maybe even like an over-the-pants hand job occasionally when they were really wrapped up. It was awful. Luckily, I didn't spend too much money to like sit on floor seats. Those cucks absolutely got blasted financially for no reason, so we were up a little bit. It was still way more money than should ever rightfully be spent at a Mayweather fight. So we arrived at our seats with our spirits and cocks high, expecting at least something enjoyable to laugh at and goof around with, and that is not at all what we got. I will say though, I was impressed with Logan Paul. At least he was doing something. Mayweather, this is all you'll see, and then occasionally some of this and some of that on the cheek of Logan when they get tied up together in the Kama Sutra positions in the ring. But at least Logan was like kind of constantly moving his arms, like throwing them a little bit. Kind of looks like some kind of aerobics shit that he was doing from an 80s VHS tape. But at least he was trying to throw punches. I was half expecting him to go in there like a child, cartoonishly waving his arms like this, going for those kind of attacks. But we didn't see that. We saw something close, but not quite that. And I prefer that as opposed to Mayweather's technique of trying to bore the entire audience to death. When we went there, of course, the entire crowd was pretty much against Logan, and everyone was cheering for Mayweather. By the end of it, they were booing Mayweather and cheering Logan. Like, the people that were pretty close to us were huge Mayweather fans. They were so excited. Every time Mayweather moved his arm, they were going, "Whoa!" And then, by the end, anytime Mayweather moved, they started booing him. Because they were so bored. And the shit was way too expensive to go to this fucking thing. They should have paid you to be there to make it look crowded. Fuck, it was bad. And now I've already seen the big boxing enthusiasts. Wow, what an incredible display from Mayweather. Able to really wear out his opponent and show just how much better he is. Yeah, maybe to like a hardcore boxing nerd that's cool, but to everyone else that's so fucking boring. His dodges, super impressive, great. And you know what would have been even better? If he returned with some punches, like a counterattack or anything, besides just moving around. Like, it's fucking boring. It's supposed to be a fight, not a dance. Like, goddamn. Yes, it is impressive, I completely agree. But it is also extraordinarily unfun to watch in every capacity. So if this is truly what boxing is, then boxing fucking sucks. I haven't watched boxing outside of the big Mayweather fights over the last few years with like Manny Pacquiao and all that. And they have always, since I started watching, been this boring. This to a different level though. This was even more boring than the others. This was exceptionally awful. You could probably count the amount of punches that landed on a single hand. And I know there's this big, conspiracy is the wrong word, but a lot of people seem to think that Mayweather actually did KO Logan and then held him up in order to let him go the distance for more money. I don't necessarily believe that. He did land like a punch on Logan, and then Logan kind of like drunkenly stumbled on top of him and hugged him, and Mayweather just kind of hugs him as well pretty tight, and it looks like Logan's kind of like limp-dicked, but I don't think he was knocked out. I think he was just really tired. Like, he looked extremely tired for half the fight, and Mayweather just looked extremely bored, kind of like the entire audience. So I don't think he got knocked out and was held up like Weekend at Bernie's. I don't think that's what happened. I think the hit landed and Logan immediately just went right back in for a hug in order to stop it, which I guess makes sense, but it fucking sucked. Overall, the entire event was awful. Miami is a complete and utter disaster of a city. We were stuck trying to leave the stadium for over 2 hours because Ubers don't know how to fucking get to the stadium, and the way they have it set up is like single file lines out of the stadium onto the middle of the fucking street, hoping people will get hit by cars. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible system, which I guess makes sense. It's about par for the course considering how horrible the fight was. It was a nice little shit cherry on top of the diarrhea cake. Overall, I'd do it again. Yeah, fuck yeah. Let's, I can't wait for the next YouTuber boxing match. I will say, at the very least, Jake Paul's fights are not boring. At least there's like some action there, and he's got that pure psychopath energy, so he's coming in like fucking full throttle. This was like going to the geriatrics ward and watching them like try and rekindle an old rivalry. It was awful. It just felt sad, and it was even worse considering we spent money to be there. It's not fun. Wasn't fun. Was a bad fight that I don't think anyone's overly happy with. I know Floyd said that it was mainly just supposed to be entertainment. It completely failed in that aspect, I think. I think this is the worst possible entertainment. It would have been more entertaining if they entered the ring and then just started urinating on the crowd. I would have rather gone into the arena, they locked the doors and light the arena on fire. Would have been more fun than watching this match. God, it was fucking awful. We also filmed ourselves live reacting to the fight, kind of like a Mystery Science Theater thing, but you can't see the fight, obviously. I don't know if we'll release that. I haven't watched it back yet. The audio is probably pretty fucking awful. But if the audio's, you know, not terrible, maybe we'll release it and it'll be the saddest reaction to anything ever. It's just us being extremely underwhelmed. And you can kind of see it go from like excitement in the first round of the whole arena kind of going pretty ecstatic and like, yeah, time for a cool fight. And then it starts just descending further and further into boredom. And then people start leaving, so in the video you'll see a bunch of people behind us just fucking evacuating as if it was a fire drill. Like by like the 6th or 7th round, there was half of the people there that it started with. And since the arena was already at half capacity for COVID protocol, it looked like a fucking barren wasteland. It was like something out of an old western. I was half expecting tumbleweed to go through the ring. Like, it was sad. It, you know, from happiness to like a crescendo of sadness. Just a pure fucking plummet. Yeah, again, I don't know if we'll release that because the audio might not be good. But if it is, yeah, sure, post that at some point. Anyway, though, that's about it. So, yeah.